Welcome to Women's Sports Update. I'm Kay Racine.
And I'm Sydney Chan.
And today we're going to get into a little bit of the Syracuse women's basketball team for you guys. I attended Media Day, and the idea, Sydney, around this team this year is they want to create a new narrative for themselves. They lost Deasia Fair last year, who was a dominant force for their team, and she's going to be missed.
She definitely will be missed. Now, last year, this SU team was 24-8 with a 13-5 record in conference play. And of course, this year, their focus should be to prioritize protecting that home court and doing better in this conference play. But let's talk a little bit about Deasia Fair because, of course, she was such a dominating presence on this Orange team. Not only was she the top scorer for SU, but she also led the ACC as a whole in minutes played, field goals attempted, three-point field goals attempted, made, percentage, the list goes on and on.
Even being third in the country for scoring in the NCAA, which is a huge accomplishment of anybody.
Yeah, honestly. Yeah. And even though she has left, we're also going to be seeing, of course, like you were saying earlier, that new narrative for this team, because close to half of this year's team members are completely new. They're sporting the orange for the first time. That's including freshmen, transfer students, grad students who may have had an injury before, and now we're stepping on for the first time again. So we've got a new team.
But we have a veteran in Georgia Woodley who was second leading in scoring for the team. Yeah. She was right behind Deasia Fair. She might have to take on a new leadership role this year because the team's dynamic is just different. There's some transfers. There's some people that didn't get as many minutes last year, and they're going to have to step up and be able to gel together and be, you know, a dominant force for this team this year.
Yeah, of course, being that guard position as well, she's going to need to gather the team around her. And of course, not just one person can carry the team on their back. They're going to need a lot of time to get comfortable with each other's playing styles, trust each other, and really figure out who that ultimate player is going to be when the ball needs to be scored and shot and making those crucial plays.
And I agree. And somebody to look out for sure, is WNBA. She's 6'4". She's a dominant force for the team. She's somebody that, you know, a lot of people didn't really pay attention to maybe last year because she wasn't on the court as often. But even being around them and seeing them at Media Day, it's very clear to me that she's going to be somebody that's going to be, you know, able to carry this team this season. But let's not forget that there's so many teams that are joining the ACC this year.
We've got an 18-team conference this year with Stanford, Cal, and SMU joining the team. And I want to start with Stanford because out of those three, I think the Cardinal are going to be the most dominant. Now, they are going to be without their legendary coach, Tara Vanderveer, who retired this past April after coaching there for virtually 4 decades. And they also lost their leading scorer, Cameron Brink, to the WNBA, and forward Kiki Ariafen Jr., who transferred to USC. But I still think they're going to be a very, very dominant team in this conference.
I agree with you. They're going to be very dominant only because they're a team that has been in the top 25 year after year after year, having Coach Tara and now those people leaving. I think they're still going to be able to remain in that top 7 to top 10 range because they have a program that was built on principles, and I think those principles are going to last.
Absolutely, I think so as well. And even though SU doesn't actually meet Stanford or the Cardinal during the regular season, just their overall presence in this conference is going to have a huge impact on how SU performs. But let's also talk about Stanford's crosstown rival, the Cal Bears, who are coming off of their best record yet under current head coach Sharman Smith. But they're still going to have their challenges, of course. Yeah,
they're going to have their challenges. They're coming into a new conference. They're trying to figure out the teams that they're playing. How are they going to play? Who are we going to play? And then that time travel difference. That's going to be a huge thing.
Flight.
Yes. People are like, oh, it's not going to be a big deal. Once you get on that flight and that 3-hour time difference hits you and you're in a game and it feels like it's 9, 10 o'clock at night and you're playing a 7 o'clock game in the West Coast, you're going to feel it.
Being from California, I can attest. The travel, the transfer, it's a little bit of a trek. But let's talk about our third team, SMU, who's the only school in the Texas area in this conference, and they've definitely taken a huge advantage of that for recruiting nationally and getting some key players onto their roster.
I agree. There was a time when I was at ACC when I spoke to a couple of the girls, and they were like, they're just excited to play new teams, excited to be in a conference that's powered. The ACC is the best conference when it comes to women's basketball. So being able to be in a program or being able to be in a conference that's leading in scoring, leading in the dominance, leading in the women that go into the league afterwards, it's just going to be great for them, and they just want that competition.
No, absolutely. ACC women's basketball is crazy deep. Experts are saying that probably about 8 to 10 of the teams in this conference are going to make it to the dance at the end of the season and make it to that postseason. And right now, according to the ACC predicted order of finish for this 24-25 season that was just released a couple days ago, Syracuse is currently ranked 11th out of 18. So as long as they can win about 10 to 11 of their 17 conference plays and try and make it to that top 10, they definitely have a chance to make it into that postseason, which will be super exciting.
I think so. It's going to be super exciting to see how this season unfolds, especially for this team. It's a new team. They want to create a new narrative, and they want to show the ACC and the rest of the NCAA that just because we lost the edge of fear does not mean we lost our game.
No, let's talk about their schedule really quickly with the time that we have left. Now, some games that we want to point out. November 13th, number 18 Maryland comes to SU. Now, this is going to be a pretty telling game, I think, because it's their first meeting of a top-ranked team in the season, and it's always a good way to see if SU is ready for that challenge.
Yeah, I think when you play a team that early on that's ranked, it's going to say, how ready are we? Exactly. How ready are we for the season? Did we prepare properly in the preseason? And are we going to be able to execute when that time comes? So when tip-off starts, it's going to say, okay, at the end of the game, did we prepare or were we not prepared? Right. And I think the SU fans and everyone around will see, okay, this women's basketball team is ready for this year if they win against these top-ranked opponents early on.
And I'm going to have to say that the most top-ranked opponent that SU is going to have to face is on December 8th with their first ACC game against Notre Dame. This one's going to be tough, but again, it's going to be very showing of how this team is going to be.
Yeah, Hannah Helgado, the freshman, ACC Freshman of the Year. She's coming to her sophomore year. Talked to her at ACC Media. She said, Kay, I'm ready. Like, I've trained. Like, I'm ready. My game is going to be taken to the new level. So seeing how we play against them, someone that's ranked and has someone that's a really leading scorer, we're going to see how the defense is. So we're going to see how possessions are and who's transitioning faster to get fast breaks, like who's making game-changing plays. And that's going to be something that's going to be really important for games like this.
Yeah, but there's so many great games on this schedule. We're super excited to see all of these different ACC conference wins with conference positions on the line. But what's the first time that our SU fans can see our women's basketball team in action?
You guys can see them in the Dome October 29th. They will be playing DeMar at 7 p.m. So if you want to be there, go ahead and be in the Dome.
Yeah, from Kay Racine and Sydney Chan, thanks so much for joining us on this segment of Women's Sports Update.
And we're going to send it to Caitlin and Geraldine for some women's ice hockey.
Thanks, Kay. I'm Geraldine Paglia alongside Caitlin McDonough, and today we're going to talk about all things ice hockey. And I want to start off with Jessica Campbell. Caitlin?
I mean, she's no stranger to breaking the ice, literally. She has so many accolades, but her coaching career, it's just getting started. She was hired by the Seattle Kraken in July 3rd. She was actually an assistant coach, and she just, coached her first game for the Kraken not too long ago. First ever female assistant full-time. This is huge to see in many, many girls around the world. This gives them so many opportunities and someone that they can look up to.
I mean, absolutely. Before that, she was, a coach for Canada and for the Coachella Valley Firebirds. I mean, she was there alongside Dan Bilsma, the head coach now of the Kraken, and he actually brought her along with him to coach the Kraken because he was just like, it's a no-brainer. She has all that she needs to coach, and it's great.
Yeah, this is someone that, he trusts and puts all his faith into, and she's no stranger to being around the men's team as well. She also coached in Germany for the Nuremberg Ice Tigers, which is Germany's top professional league, so she definitely has a super skill set, and I wouldn't be surprised if she becomes the actual first ever head coach of an NHL organization.
And she was saying, after in a post-game press conference that this was just like every other day for her. Obviously it's a great stepping stone for her and it's a huge accomplishment and she recognized that, but it was just another game to coach.
Oh yeah, totally. She's cool, calm, and collected, but on the inside, she was probably hyped up. This game, it wasn't about her, but there was a lot of pressure on her. I think she handled it perfectly. She was on the bench, coached very, very well. Even though the Kraken did lose, they're 2-2 on the season right now, so they're just going to pick their foots up and keep going, keep the gas rolling.
Yeah, I was going to say they did lose to St. Louis, unfortunately, but then they went on a road game stretch, so now they're back at home, the next game against the Flyers, so hopefully they can pull out a win for her.
I know. And shifting over to the PWHL, the new PWHL season is really coming up in the corner. The first game is set for Boston to play Toronto on November 30th. at 2 p.m. I can't wait for the season to start. I mean, the season is starting much earlier than it was last season. Last season they started in January, but now they're starting in November 30th. But does this lead to more injuries with the little rest time that they have?
I mean, that's a great question, Caitlin. I think that it's a great opportunity for the girls to get out there and really just start the season. I think they have everything that they need to start it. These new team names that you discussed last week, I mean, I think they have all the elements. They just really need to get on the ice. And I think, honestly, getting out there earlier might be more of a push for them to do better in the season and to kind of have more of a full PWHL feel and get out there and do what they can do, because they're professional athletes at the end of the day.
No, exactly, and there's so much talent coming into the league with the draft. People are changing as well throughout the league as well. You know, they've brought in some new coaches, they're shifting things up. A lot of the teams are bolstering their roster, so this is going to be probably one of the best seasons. And with the rise of women's sports, I can't wait to see what this league does.
No, absolutely. And now transitioning from the PWHL, from professional to SU, we have the SU women's hockey team.
Yes, the SU women's hockey team, you know, they started the season very well, 2-0 with two back-to-back 4-0 wins against Stonehill. However, they've fallen off since, you know, they lost to RPI twice, including an overtime loss, and to number 8 St. Lawrence. I don't think you can fault them. They're two very good programs that they have. However, their power play unit, surprisingly, one of the best in the country. They're third, 44.4% conversion rate. So maybe they just need to start drawing penalties and using that extra skater to their advantage.
I mean, absolutely. I was going to touch on that too. Their power play was, honestly, I think a couple weeks ago they were first in the country. I mean, they did drop, unfortunately, but on those power plays, if you got them the ball, it was going behind the net, with no doubt. I mean, that would be strategic on their part to draw those penalties because they know that they can succeed. Unfortunately, their penalty kills are not the best. I mean, I think that kind of is a give and take. You need to kind of focus on both. When one is great, the other may struggle, but making sure there's equal elements to both is really important for them. But I mean, they're starting out strong. I think they're a good team overall. I mean, their next game is against Quinnipiac, which is notorious for being a strong team. So, I mean, making sure that they're well-rounded is kind of the main goal.
Yeah, I mean, the last time they faced Quinnipiac was back in 2022, and they lost in the NCAA regional tournament. This is a Quinnipiac team that is pretty darn good. You know, they're 1-0 at home on the season. They have 202 shots overall. Syracuse only has 137 on the season. So I think that they really need to just hunker down on defense. Allie Kelly, she's phenomenal. She's one of the best goalies that Syracuse has had in a long time. So I think she's going to be one of the keys to the game. But you know, they need to take advantage of the power play and not give away any penalties as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And Brittany Smith, their head coach, this is only their second head coach in program history. So the girls are not really used to change. I mean, I know she came in 2022, but it's still those rebuilding years. So I think, I mean, they have a lot of time left, and for the freshmen, they're just going to keep building.
Exactly. That's all from us at women's hockey. Now we're sending it over to Tommy and Audrey to discuss WNBA.
Thanks, Caitlin. I'm Tommy Rooney.
And I'm Audrey Becker, and we're here to discuss the WNBA Finals. Tommy, Game 3. All I can say is wow.
It was a great game. It was one of the best playoff basketball games I've seen in a long time. And shout out to Sabrina Ionescu for delivering in the clutch, 2 clutch three-pointers at the end of the game. The second one from the logo from another state. What did you think about the game?
Well, personally, I'm a Lynx fan, so I was heartbroken.
Yep.
But I couldn't help but be impressed with the Liberty's ability to come back in this game. I thought the Lynx had it until the last 90 seconds or so, where they made a few crucial mistakes. 3 specifically. They missed 3 layups in the last 90 seconds, Tommy.
Yep.
If you're trying to win a championship, you cannot make mistakes like that. You can't do it once, you can't do it twice, you can't do it 3 times. And I think that's where they really misstepped. Another decision I was a little confused about was on the last possession, where Ionescu put us away. In my point of view, if you're a Lynx fan, Tommy, you can't even be mad at that shot. Just because of the sheer amount of skill, the amount of hours that, as weird as it sounds, a player like Sabrina Ionescu, I know she practices that shot. I know she repeats, and it paid off last game.
I mean, like, you got to shake their hand after a shot like that, because you can't be mad, like you said, if they're going to shoot it from downtown like that. And I think that, she was just feeling it. You got to have a lot of confidence to take that shot, because if that doesn't go in, everybody's going to be dogging you in the media about why would you shoot it from that far away and everything. So I really am just baffled by the end of that game. The Liberty weren't leading for the entire game. They were leading when it was 4-5, and then they were leading again with 90 seconds left, like you said. So it was really just a game that got away from the Lynx. And it was at home. This was the largest home crowd of all time in Lynx franchise history, over 19,000 strong. So it was a very packed house, loud barn. So I think that the fact that they were able to come down from down 15 in that environment really shows the core that they have. And they're superstars that are hungry for their first ring. So I think that Game 4 in Minnesota is going to be just as crazy. And who do you think is going to win?
I want to say the Lynx just because they have to. They have to win. If you're the Lynx and you're entering Target Center for Game 4, you cannot disappoint those fans again. You have to give it everything you've got. You have to play better perimeter defense. You have to be more careful in the paint. And you just have to play an overall better game and not make silly mistakes like turning the ball over or missing easy 2-footers. And I want to know your thoughts on this, Tommy. Something I noticed in the last possession was the Lynx used their foul. They had one foul to give. They used it pretty early in the possession. I think they used it with about 10 seconds left. Do you think that was the right move, or?
I don't know. You could have waited a little bit longer, but like we said, missing those layups, you kind of set yourself up to be in that position. And then just the shot that was made is something that you can't really get mad at. And I feel like the thing that has to be talked about that we haven't mentioned yet is the fact that Stewie had 30 and 11, and she was a force all game. And with the Lynx losing Alana Smith, there wasn't as the paint presence that there should be with Alana Smith in there. So that's going to be a storyline for the next game as well, because she's questionable to play, probably not going to play. And if she does play, probably won't be as effective. So I don't know. I mean, I feel like just in my heart of hearts that the Lynx will win Game 4, and then ultimately Game 5 will go to the Liberty on their home floor in front of their amazing crowd. So that's my prediction. But
I mean, it's picture perfect from a storyline point of view.
The script writers.
The script writers of the
Yep.
WNBA, yes. I can envision it. I can envision Stewie holding up the championship, the confetti falling, Ellie the elephant doing some sort of theatrical
I agree.
adventure around the team.
Yep.
I would love to see it as much as I am a Lynx fan. I think both of these teams are deserving of a championship.
It's been a historic season. It's been a historic playoff run as well, with Nafisa Collier setting the record for most playoff points in a single postseason run of all time, and attendance records being broken all season. So it's only right that something else historic would happen and the Liberty get their first ring. So I think that's how it's going to go.
Something I want to discuss a little further that you touched on, Tommy, is Alana Smith's absence.
Mm-hmm.
I think that is going to very much dampen Minnesota's defense. And they do have Maisha Hines-Allen, who's a veteran. She has finals experience, she got playoff experience, and she's very strong, which I think is going to be helpful in some respects. But I don't think she can play in long spurts. I think she's more of a short bursts, energy kind of spark plug off the bench kind of player. So if you're Minnesota, who do you turn to for defense? What does Minnesota have to do to bounce back next game?
I don't think that there's an answer, to be honest. That you have 3 of the top 5 players who are in MVP contention this year are all on the New York Liberty. So Jonquel Jones is going to get hers, and then Stewie is going to have 30 and 15 again. So I just don't really know what the Lynx do in this game. They're going to have to rely on their perimeter defense to try to, have any shot in this game. But they're going to be as motivated as a team could be. It's been a long season. They've played unbelievably well all year, and it's do or die in this game in front of their home crowd. So I don't think they're going to want to drop 2 in a row in Minnesota. So
I think that's right. I think this past game showed the amount of trust that both teams had in their squads. Specifically, the thing that comes to mind is the distribution of the ball in the amidst that comeback for the Liberty. It wasn't just Sabrina. It wasn't just Stewie. It wasn't just Jonquel Jones. All of them had their moments. Jonquel Jones had that three-pointer.
Unexpected.
Unexpected is the word I would use as well. Not exactly the shot that I would draw up, but it went in. So, I mean, you want that every time if that's going to be the outcome.
And that's the shot that gave him the lead first time in basically the entirety of the game. So, like you said, I think that this is going to come down to teams trusting each other, getting the ball swung around, especially the Lynx. Nafisa Collier might have to have a 50-piece in order for them to win this game, but I'm very excited to watch Game 4. Liberty are favored -2.5 on the road, so they're predicting Liberty to get this done. Like I said before, I could see this going 5 for sure, and I'm just excited to watch the rest of the series.
Me too, Tommy. All right. Thank you guys so much for joining us on Women's Sports Update. We hope to see you next time. Enjoy your sports.